Should cesarean section babies be greased in a specimen of their mom's vulval fluids as quickly as they are unborn? The concept is to offer these newborns thing they skipped while they founded in the planet, the nice bacteria how dwell in their mom's vaginal. A tampon is undertaken of mother's vulval liquid, that is later polished onto her kid's leather and jaw. The expect is the microbe souvenir will increase their kids' length-term public health, especially by reduction their hazard of immunity disorders. It is a key period. We might include been clean in the uterus, but in our at first few moments of lifetime an unseen ties is creature set among infant and bacteria. He's a relation how will recent a life expectancy, and the at first pin is as essential as a at first day. This at first period a infant's own immunity framework has to answer are to such at first few bacteria, says Professor Peter Brocklehurst, of the College of Birmingham. How we trust is essential to, in several path, installation the infant's immunity framework. Down there is a visible distinction among the microbiomes, the gallery of bacteria, viruses, fungi and archaean, of babies unborn vaginally and by caesarean section chapter. It lasts for on the at first year of lifetime. A infant unborn vaginally is at first vulnerable and colonized by microbes of their mom's vaginal and innards. But for caesarean section babies, the at first exposition, if they're happy, says Professor Brocklehurst, comes of the really various organisms on their mom's leather. The previous cooperation among the immunity framework and microbes appears key. Apparently our bodies do assault the hazardous ones, but the common relation among microbe and immunity cells is on more than rather than dispute, keys a far more profound dynamical. Graham Boat, a prof of care microbiology at College School London, says the microbiome is the immunity framework's tutor. The is a training framework, it is love the marrow. Currently, the item on the adaptable immunity framework is it as necessary information, fair love the marrow as necessary information. And how information is upcoming of microbes and the chemical substances they make. They incite a response in the immunity framework how can recent a life expectancy. Professor Boat says, this original installation up of the immunity framework occurs for the at first weeks and months of lifetime. We aware how, since down there's a box of prospect for such at first months of lifetime, while if you offer antibiotics you can violate the microflora and later in maturity such individuals are more than potential to include immunologic problems and are more than potential to put on way. The is the concept how several parents are purchase in while they execute vulval sowing. Though the kind of household you give yours infant behind to may influence their length-term public health. Study has shown households in dogs include reduce rates of asthmatic. The concept is they assist us float versus the hygienic tidal by traipsing their turbid paws circle the building and sticking out their noses in all. This assumption has ever been how the dog brings, of the external, microbes how are useful in incentive the baby's immunity framework, says Professor Anita Kozer-Skij, of the College of Alberta. She is analysis information on 3,500 families in the Canada Wholesome Baby Longitudinal Growth Research. One of its received information is how the microbiomes of 3-month-olds is far richer and more than various, a nice mark, if down there is a pet in the building. 2 types of advantageous bacteria seem to be more than overall. This Oscillospira include been related in thinness and the Ruminococcus include been related in diminished hazard of allergenic illness. Feeding or equation, antibiotics and technique of supply all influence the microbiome. But teaching in the microbiome and length-term public health include frequently been too little to be final. The infant biome research is aimed to gather fecal samples of production of 80,000 babies. How will be a lot of muddy nappies to analyze, but it will be an unprecedented source for interrogation the effect of decisions done about childbirth. Lot of such will be out of parents' hands. No physician or parental would conduct behind on lifetime-saving antibiotics since of an vague length-term effect. The research will let scientists see that microbes the flesh at first hooks up, which how tool year after or, tantalizingly, if injuring relationships in the incorrect bacteria can be restored. The fecal samples of production will end up at the Wellcome Sanger Institution in Cambridge and in the hands of microbe film goers such as Dr. Trevor Lawley. My newest favorite organism is Bifidobacterium, he says. It is one of the first bugs to colonize humans previous in lifetime, and we trust they nourish off sugars in the chest breast milk as, down there's a really subtle evolution kit up wherever the bugs are gone of the mom to kid and the mom nurtures how bug to set the previous microbiome. Dr. Lawley's lab will be hard to reveal each germ how colonizes a infant and which how tool after in lifetime. He thinks the end outcome of the draft will be to changing politics about disposable antibiotic drug use and cesarean sections. Or, alternatively, perhaps we could civilization the bugs of the mums to deliberately colonize the babies to enable their microbiome to ripe and evolve correctly, in some speech, a learnedly controllable release of vulval sowing. So are several parents fair front of the play? Professor Brocklehurst says, at the time several parents trust the conjecture quite how they are making their own vulval sowing currently, down there could be actual downsides to how. One anxiety is hazardous bugs could be passed up to a block of female are mined to conduct Team B streptococcal in their vaginal, and exhibiting babies to the bacterial could be deadly. Professor Brocklehurst says, it too previous to begin representing bacteria artificial in the infant before we've got a nice knob on how potential the is to be the arrangement or no. Illustrations, Katie Horwich.